hopefully you've taken a minute and done a little Google searching, a little work on your own to look up some of these different properties. Just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page, let's just go over a couple of these. You have something called the commutative property of addition. The commutative property, I like to think in terms of commuter, or what your parents do when they go back and forth to work. They commute to and from work. So the commutative property, to me, I think of going back and forth. So an example of commutative property might be something that can be read going either way. So you could have x plus 2, or the exact same thing in reverse, 2 plus x. In this case, we're finding the sum of some unknown value plus 2, which would be the exact same worth as the sum of 2 plus that unknown value. So here's an example of commutative property. You can either read it forwards or backwards. Let's take a look at the associative property. The associative property has the root word associate. So if you think about people that you associate with at school, typically there's going to be groups of friends or groups of classmates. So associative property allows us to group things in a way that is advantageous for us. So I could say if I had x plus 1 plus 7, I could either group that as x plus 1 plus 7, or I could say x plus 1 plus 7 and group the 1 and the 7 together, which makes it a little bit easier to see that what we're really saying is x plus 8. Since all of the operators are addition, we can group them any way that we would like. So make sure when you're using this associative property that all of the operators are the same, because you don't want to get into disrupting the order of operations. We also have additive identity property. An identity is when any value for x would work. And so the additive identity property tells us that we can add a value and have it remain exactly the same. So if we were to add 0, that would be an example of the additive identity property, because adding 0 does not change the value. So additive identity, you might have A equals A plus 0. Additive identity property. Sometimes this will be called the identity property of addition, because adding 0 to something does not change its value. We could also have the multiplicative identity. The multiplicative identity just lets us know that if we multiply something by 1, it does not change its value. So b has the exact same value as b times 1, because multiplying something by 1 does not change its value. As far as the of equality properties, of equality simply means that you're doing the same thing to both sides of the equal sign. So if you were to add something to both sides of the equal sign, that would be the addition property of equality. If you were to subtract something from both sides, that would be the subtraction property. If you were to multiply both sides of the equation by something, that would be the multiplication property. And if you were to divide both sides by the same thing, that would be the division property of equality. So all of these are examples of the of equality properties. Okay, kind of terrifying handwriting, but I'll get the hang of writing on this tablet eventually. All right, moving on to the next lesson.